Hello and welcome to Law and Order SVU here on FANVERSATION. I am Yael Tygiel. That's Taylor Gates. Hello, Taylor. How are you doing?
I'm good. Oscar Sunday.
That's what I hear. This is season 26, episode 14, The Grid Plan. Before we jump in, if you're in a situation where you need help, please reach out to RAINN. Their number is 1-800-656-4673. 1-800-656-4673. Taylor, when you're done drinking, will you tell us what that spells?
It spells hope.
It does. This episode had a lot going on. A lot of serious things did happen. And this show does deal with serious issues, but our podcast deals with it in a not serious way. So consider this your content warning. I'm speeding through this because I want to tell everybody something I discovered before somebody else accidentally reveals it in the chat. Because I was looking up the actors for this episode because I'm a big fan of the main victim this episode from Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. In my household, she is Paula. That is what she will always be known as. We'll get to actor shoutouts later, but this is something I have to let everybody know. Her husband is a repeat offender. He was Officer Fletcher in Wannabe.
Wait, that's incredible. I love this piece of lore.
I got so excited when I discovered this because we just talked about him.
Yeah. Wow.
That's who that's who Fletcher grows up to be.
I love that. I love that.
Isn't that
Although I hated her husband in this, but we're not going to go there yet.
Yeah, Fletcher turns into a piece of crap, but we'll get there.
Well, turns into, he's always had some questionable decision-making skills.
It's different. Anyway, hello to everyone live in our chat. Hey, Daryl. Hey, Alexa. I really needed to get that out before we went anywhere in case somebody else also saw that.
I love that.
Okay. Here's the quick cap for this episode. A Midwestern tourist is viciously attacked in Times Square. As the squad scours the area for clues, the victim takes the investigation into her own hands. A secret motive threatens to derail Carisi's case. In general, Taylor, how did you feel about this episode?
I mean, I liked this one. I really liked our main person in this, Megan. I thought she was a really interesting character who I want to go see Broadway shows with immediately. So I liked that. I thought it started out well, and then unfortunately it kind of lost steam. I thought the ending was like, okay, we like didn't hear that guy speak at all. Like that was really bizarre. But I mean, overall, I thought it was solid. It was like a little bit different than what we see sometimes, like especially having this be the victim, like as weird as that is to say, like I feel like we see a lot of 20-something model, you know, that kind of vibe. And so it was like, okay, I like that we're actually seeing a different kind of victim, because I feel like the show needs to do a better job of being more diverse in that regard. So I thought it was like uneven, but I generally liked it.
Okay. I will say I think that Paula really was the like best part of this episode. I'm gonna just let everyone know the character's name was Megan, but the actress is Donna Lynn Champlin. Incredible performance. Alexa says it, I think, best in the chat. She was so good in this, and it made all the other actors bring their A game. Yeah. Totally. I agree with you wholeheartedly that we do not see your average looking person. And Donna Lynn Champlin, who is an amazing actress and a credible performer and a singer and dancer and like so talented, but is also built like your average Midwestern, definitely built like your average American. And so to see what is actually, I would say more representative of what victims look like. We've seen on the show lots of times that everyone's so pretty and therefore that's why they're assaulted, but that has nothing to do with it. I mean, this case I think is another great example of how It's about power. It has nothing to do with sexual attraction. This man, he like didn't care about who anybody was. He was like, body whole, going to attack.
Yeah.
That's what we saw.
Yeah.
I agree with you that you should go see Broadway shows with her.
I would love that. We'd have a good time.
But I mean, also, like, really just everything about her, the whole first part of this episode, seeing her in shock in the ambulance, and then seeing that she meticulously took these notes, is trying to grab onto control anywhere she can, and then seeing her dealing with accepting what happened to her, confronting Benson and being like, what are you guys doing? Amazing performance. Really fantastic. I did like that we saw Nurse Rudy again.
Legend.
For those who forgot, Nurse Rudy is one of our favorite repeat characters, recurring characters. That's Stephen Whalum. We love seeing him.
Cool.
Yeah. There was something that happened this episode that after my second watch, I was even more annoyed about it. The witness who shows up to let us know nothing.
Yeah, straight up.
Here's my question.
I don't know. I thought it was just like a fun little. And then we get the flashbacks, and I'm like, okay, how? Okay.
Right. Here's my question, people. This is going to sound awful. So at least I gave you a content warning. My question is, this woman who is a Broadway performer, right? She's in the chorus of something. Decided, I saw on the news this woman was attacked. And I remember seeing it, not thinking that it was happening. How is my choice to go to the police and say, I witnessed this and I didn't think anything of it? How is that beneficial to anyone? I would have understood if she was friends with the suspect, right? Like, then I understand she preemptively went to like help give him a defense. But who the fuck are you and why are you going into the police station to report not a crime?
I mean, I would understand it if she didn't add the part of like, but I didn't think it was a crime. If she was like, yeah, I can confirm this happened because I saw these two doing something in the alley. Leave it at that. Don't be like, but I also thought it wasn't like a big deal. Just, I mean, I guess that was her defense of not reporting it. But the way it was worded was really
the way
like, I understand why she would have, because they were like, she's like a witness, like I think she's tasked to, right? Like, kind of say if she saw it, but
I mean, I don't know, because like I'm with you. If she'd come in to be like, hey, I witnessed this, and then they had been like, well, why didn't you call anybody? She'd be like, I didn't know that something was, you know what I mean? Like, that's one thing. But it felt like she came in to discredit her. Yeah. And I went, who does that? Who decides, you know what? I have a whole life. I am a Broadway fucking performer. But you know what I'm going to do with my day? I'm going to go to the police station and report not a crime.
Yeah, I agree. I think that, like, I understood what they were doing with that.
But
it unfolded really weirdly. Well, I think they were trying to just plant the, like, oh, is she actually having an affair with this guy and she wanted it or whatever? Like, they were trying to plant those seeds, I think. But the way that shook out with that witness is bizarre. You know, like the order of what things were said, the tone of what things were said. Like, I get what they're doing, but yes, it is a weird way to like have that unfold.
I would also, again, we give you our content warning. If a man had done it, I would have understood it more. If a man had been like, by the way, like, I'm a Broadway performer and I was there and I saw this and I didn't think anything of it. But I'm coming, you know, I witnessed it. So I thought I'd come tell you. I would understand that. But a woman coming in, I'm like, what? You are a terrible woman.
Yeah. I mean, I can't say that though. I'm going to be so honest with you. I could see myself doing the same thing she did, unfortunately, because it's New York. crazy shit does just happen everywhere. Like, I've seen people jerking off at the bus station in New York. I've seen people shooting in the street. And you mind your business in New York.
That's what I'm saying.
I saw people and I thought it was a steamy makeout session, because it's not like she sat there and watched. She probably saw it in passing, a glimpse, and was like, oh, you know, they're... So, like, I can kind of see where she's coming from. And I do feel like I could have fallen into the same trap she did, to be honest with you.
Yes, but I don't think you would ever be like, yeah, I thought they, you know, they're just looking up. That's how it seemed consensual.
Well,
she didn't shout.
Information on the news that like this person was attacked, I'd be like, oh shit, and then I'd feel guilty, and it'd turn into a Silva situation where I'd join force. No, but yes,
you would go to the police station.
I'd be like, oh shit, like I should have. Whatever, and I'd feel guilty about it. I wouldn't stand strong in my assessment like this woman did. Yeah.
You definitely would go, you would not say, well, I mean, her mouth wasn't covered. She wasn't like shouting or anything.
No,
you know what I mean?
would say, I'm so sorry. I just saw it for a second. I thought maybe it was this. Clearly it was, you know, that's what I would say.
Like I said, anyway.
Yes, this woman, we didn't like her, but I understand why she initially did what she did.
My notes are like, why would she bother coming in?
From the story.
Oy. Okay. Let's talk about Megan's decision to essentially participate in her own investigation. I get it. It also, for some reason, her handing out the flyers reminded me of Munch's uncle. So way back when,
I remember this.
There was, he was like, he had, I want to say dementia because he was old and was living in the streets, and some little girl was attacked. Danny Beck was there as a detective.
I don't care about that bitch.
But this was such a good episode.
Yeah, but Danny Beck, no.
Yes, it was. Jerry Lewis was the guest star. Thank you, Alexa.
Yes, okay. It's ringing more of a bell now, though.
How dare you disrespect Danny Beck?
Danny Beck is like the most like universally despised character on this show. Who's
because
not, like,
she kissed Olivia, or because she kissed Stable?
Yeah, and she's not Olivia. So she didn't do anything. She did, her only crime is not being someone else.
No, I understood.
But
I just want
that is the consensus. I don't watch that show for Danny Beck. Like, he's so for real.
Connie Nielsen had some great episodes in her arc, though.
Listen, sure, I will take your word for it. I've watched them probably one time, and I'm not gonna revisit them.
Maybe that should be our next.
No, I will quit the show.
You have given me now 2 arcs that we cannot explore.
That's not true. We have explored the William Lewis one just by me not wanting to.
You're right.
So you can't say anything about that. Danny Beck is where I draw the line.
Damn. Amazing. Anyway. What did you think about the fact that we found a like previous victim, but that also was useless?
Yeah, fine. I mean, I liked her character. I literally watched this on Friday, didn't take any notes about her, so she was pretty useless because I don't remember really the subject of that conversation, except for she was pretty and blonde and in that restaurant. So yeah, I feel like this episode was like solid, but we did have a lot of things where it's like, okay, so why did that happen then? So why did we do that then? I guess just to establish like a pattern, but
then they were like, this wasn't a pattern because it was different. I just honestly, this episode was very straightforward. I was waiting for a twist and there was none.
Mm-hmm.
And then the fact that, let's get to the husband, adult Fletcher, like the fact that when he walks away from her, I got very upset. But also then the resolution, right? We don't even see it.
Yes, that's in my notes because I was like, she's lying. This guy went home and he was shady and he sucked. Like, she's lying to them, and then she wasn't lying to them. So I was like, we have to. If it's that drastic. It was a complete 180. You have to let us see that. Like, that was so weird.
She says, oh, he wouldn't leave without me. And then he forgave me. We talked all night. We're going to be okay. What?
I don't trust that if I don't see it. Why didn't we just drag that part out rather than like seeing all this stuff that didn't matter?
I mean, honestly, like, he wouldn't leave without me. I feel like the acknowledgement that she got this devastating news and decided she needed space and time to deal with it. So she went and gave herself an amazing vacation. He was then given devastating news and walked away.
Mm-hmm.
Let's discuss that both of you seem to have the same coping mechanism. So, like, even if she was like, he wouldn't leave without me, I knew he needed space, just like he knew I needed space. You know what I mean? Like, give me something, because his reaction was to literally leave you.
Yeah, I didn't like that. Like, I'm sorry, but
Daryl says,
I don't understand your comment, Daryl.
some of you don't appreciate men can be dramatic and not entirely awful. Sorry. We're saying he was dramatic. We wanted to see the resolution.
And I'm so sorry. He did act awful. I'm not saying he's an awful person, but your wife was just raped on the streets of New York and has an MS diagnosis in the span of like 2 weeks. And your reaction is to tell her that she hooked up with that guy on purpose and get mad that she didn't tell you about MS, even though that's her business until she wants to tell you.
And
He
get
did
mad.
act awful. And I'm standing by that.
He also got mad that she like came to New York and he was like, this is what happens when you come to New York alone.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. He was dramatic, and I'm not saying he's awful entirely. He was awful with what we saw of him. He's allowed to have his feelings, but you gotta process it on the side, not take her processing parts, because it's about her at the end of the day with these two situations.
Daryl agrees we should have seen the talk.
Maybe he could have redeemed himself during that talk, is what I'm saying. But we only saw the shitty parts of that guy. I didn't see any like good parts. So if we saw the talk, maybe I would have thought different. Right now he's on my shit list.
I will say, yes, men can be dramatic and not entirely awful. That is true. Unfortunately, this episode did not show us this. I will also say, the fact that she's only ever been with her husband should have at least been mentioned, aside from just when she like cries and shouts it at the end. Alexis says she's the boss, but in public won't disagree with him. I like that.
Do I think it's true though? I mean, I will say, I don't know. It's hard because like I'm from the Midwest, right? There's like a culture. And I will say sometimes that is true. My mom is the boss. My grandma is the boss. But that's not true for every woman in the Midwest at all.
No, I would say I've seen experience from lots of different, not just Midwest, but lots of different cultures and relationships where you know, the woman is the boss in the relationship, but out in public, to spare his ego or to spare, you know, societal whatever, you won't disagree with in public. And I think if that is the situation, show us that. Tell us more of that.
I'm just not seeing that much about her. Well, I guess I am though, because she did take real control of her own situation. So maybe that is true. I actually could see that. I'm on the fence about whether that's true, honestly. But I like the theory.
It's a good theory. Also, people in our chat, we love this discussion. I love that everyone's like,
also, it's all love towards you guys. I just like to get fired up.
I just can't believe that's Fletcher. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah, I mean, it's not. That's not the actor, Yael. Like,
I know. I can't believe that's the actor. That's what's blowing my mind.
Yeah.
Speaking of, let's give out some shout outs. So, as I said, Megan, or Paula, if you're a Crazy Ex-Girlfriend fan, Megan was played by Donna Lynn Champlin. MVP of this episode, best performance, I think, all season, aside from that girl who screamed in the Carissa
Yeah.
Bodeg episode. Oof. Okay, so the rapist's lawyer, Counselor Vega, played by Michelle Ventimiglia. I'm so sorry I butchered that. I know I did. I she's my new Buchanan. I hate her so much.
Yeah, she's great though.
So good. Gerard Ridley, our rapist, was played by Christian Mallon. He gave creep vibes.
Yeah, but he didn't really get to do anything.
No,
We
but he
barely saw him speak.
He was great.
Yeah, but like I really wanted like what's his motive? Like, you know what I mean? Like we didn't get really any of that. Like he didn't do anything in court. Like
I honestly felt like we were missing the whole like he's this rep for this very expensive wine that nobody wants, right? So he's obviously failing at his job. And so he, to take control, did the, you know what I mean? Like I think that's what was missing.
I have so much to say about the wine.
We'll get there in a second. Let me finish the shout outs.
Okay.
So Richard Wallace, Mr. Wallace, the husband, played by the same man who played Fletcher, Joe Lanza. So good
You're
to see
iconic.
Yeah. Anybody else you wanted to give a shout out to?
I mean, I thought all the performances were good, to be honest.
Yeah. Oh, so, the other, the girl from grad school, Elise McCann is the actress.
She's good.
And this episode was directed by Norberto Barba, one of our faves. The flashback, speaking of direction, I appreciated the like, it intensified the moment and showed us, Megan like really struggling on the stand. But it also showed us that there's no way that woman walked by and thought that was consensual.
I didn't like it. I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't think it was necessary. Not that they showed a lot. It felt almost a little exploitative to me because I was like, why do we need that? Like, we already believe her, of course. And I don't really think towards the end, like, I hope this doesn't sound a certain way, but I feel like there's some episodes where we really are being like, are they telling the whole truth here? Whatever. This was not one of those episodes for me. And so I didn't think that we needed it. Like in an episode where it was a bit more like muddled of what actually happened, maybe, but it felt weird to me. It felt like a weird choice, especially to have a flashback and not just like us seeing it at the beginning. I didn't really like it, but yeah, it was directed well, but I didn't like that it was included.
I will agree with you, and that's I think the other reason why I didn't feel like the witness was necessary, because it felt like they were trying to make us consider that it didn't happen, but this episode felt very clear that it did happen.
Yeah, and I don't think that was the point of the episode. The point of the episode was all about like her struggling with MS in addition to this thing, which is like a pretty interesting concept, but yeah, I didn't think we needed that because I don't think that's the point of the episode at all.
Yeah. I also, it was like pointed out and it was shouted over. So it felt like it was missed, but the defense attorney bringing up her MS is a HIPAA violation. Like
that's what I said. I was like,
Carisi says it, but the judge allows it, which I find
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought that was crazy too. I was like, you can't be saying shit like that.
Yeah.
Like what?
What did I tell you we'll come back to that you wanted to talk about?
The wine bottle.
Yes.
First of all, that shit is broken. If you throw it on the roof, it's just perfectly intact. You're telling me? No, it's not. That was insane. I was like, it has to be broken. That pissed me off so bad because you threw that many feet on a roof and it's just looking great. No, it's not. That was annoying to me. Also, why are you canvassing the neighborhood for who sells this wine? Do a Google search. Like, it's really not that hard and you're wasting so much time. Literally just Google it. Like, that's my TED talk for the wine bottle. The way they handled that and the way it played out, stupid. Hated it.
So after they went store to store and couldn't find the wine bottle, and they're like, maybe a bar. At that point, I went, call them. Call the bar.
Yes, why are you going? Or literally search the menus of the bars you're going to go to online, and it will either list the wine or it will not list the wine. And then you'll have your answer. You can do this with a literally control F on your computer. It's so easy. Like, so annoying.
Okay, so your feelings towards their search for the wine is how I felt about this question. During the trial, the defense attorney says to Megan, was it on your bucket list to have sex with a good-looking
I love
stranger?
that line. It was ridiculous, but
I'm going to say something, and again, I hope this doesn't sound right or sound wrong. I mean, if it is on your bucket list to have sex with a good-looking stranger, this is not how you're going to go about doing it.
no.
It's not it's going to be in a hotel room. If it is that you want to do it in public, this is also not how you're going to do it.
Not in Times Square. If you've been to Times Square, there's nothing romantic about fucking in Times Square. Okay? No, Times Square is not the place for that. Times Square is grody. It's gross.
If you would
love it, it's nasty.
If you want to have anonymous sex with a good-looking stranger and you want to do it in a public space because you're into exhibitionism, this is not what you're gonna, especially a woman who literally was like, I'm coming to see this many shows, right? Like she made a plan. She's like, I have this many days. I'm going to see this many shows. I'm going to see this matinee and make sure I make it, you know what I mean? Like she had a schedule. So she's going to meticulously plan a good-looking stranger. She's going to pick one out from whatever service she uses. She's going to negotiate whatever terms and agree to whatever they want. There is no way she's going to random dude on the street that she didn't even talk to first.
She's not spontaneous like that.
They didn't even meet at a bar.
Yeah.
They weren't at the same place.
I agree. She's like me when I plan. I love to plan a Broadway show and everything around it. When I went to New York in December, like I did it like she did, frankly. That's why I think we should hang out.
I was like, that's not how you go about this.
No.
If that is what she wanted, not how she would have gone about it. And Alexa, rude, but accurate, would be a better looking than that guy.
Agreed. And you're correct.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying he's not good looking. He's your average handsome dude.
He's if I'm salesman.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. They're just fucking.
I know. I just yeah.
Also,
it's a no for me.
Shock. Yeah. It's a no for you?
Yeah.
Yeah. There are other places and hire a sex worker. Get someone at least guaranteed to get you off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyway, of course, at the end, we're reminded that New York is magical no matter what.
Yep.
And Broadway will always be here.
Like, okay. It gets just getting silly at this point. The wrap-up scenes were like, okay.
All right. On that note, let's move into best lines.
I don't have that many.
I have quite a few.
Okay. Do you want me to go first this time? Switch it up?
Yes.
It'd be crazy. A tourist was raped in Times Square. Great ad for Broadway. When they were like, did he come on to you? Did people often? And she's like, I'm a middle-aged woman from the Midwest. So I was like, she just like me for real. Not middle-aged yet. I'm getting there. We mostly get tourists from the wax museum. They're not spending $1,000 on a bottle of wine. That's facts.
Rude.
There you are. Oh, wait. There you are disposing of a $1,000 bottle of wine. What do you expect me to do? Drink it all? And finally, was it also on your bucket list to have sex with a good-looking stranger? Like, so rude. But also, like, who amongst us is that not on our bucket list? Let's be so real.
Totally.
It all passes for a reason.
Okay. I have, you guys are detectives, figure it out. Find that bottle.
Yep.
Because mean, but true. Guys like this don't normally wake up and decide to become rapists at 32. That's right. They wake up and decide before 30.
Yeah.
He's going to portray her to be a bored housewife on Broadway Rumspringa.
I missed that one. That's funny, though.
Honestly, I would wear a shirt that says bored housewife on Rumspringa.
I love that.
I
didn't even like catch that one, but that's so good.
It was a throwaway line that was just so good.
Love that.
Okay, this one's a little more serious. It's okay to be frustrated, Mr. Wallace. What's not okay is giving a guy like Gerard Ridley the pleasure of seeing it. Yeah. I loved that line.
True. That's what I'm trying to say. That man, he needed that advice right then so badly.
And then this one, because it just felt really powerful, but also so accurate, is I've known you for a very short time, and I can assure you that nobody thinks you're even remotely weak.
Yes.
Because I really liked this character of Megan. Like, even when she punches him.
That was such a slay. I was like, oh my God, you're under why? It's fine. She should be able to do that as a little treat.
But then when she says to Benson was like, you hit it, and she goes, that was the best part.
Yeah, I was like, okay. I honestly thought we were like gonna dive into like a dark side of her a little bit, which I would have been here for, frankly. I thought it was gonna be like I don't know, but I loved that. I was like, so true. Tap into that rage.
Totally. But like the fact that Benson was like, I'm going to let you go, and she was like, that was the best part. I was like, no, girl.
Shh, say that later.
Yeah. We all know.
Yeah.
All right. I see someone pointing out something that we'll talk about in a bit. But first, it's time for shower thoughts. So for our friends who listen in the shower, we love that you listen to us in the shower. We love that you are probably wet while you listen. There was a wink from Taylor if you're not watching. But I decided for shower thoughts, we should talk about Broadway shows.
Oh my God, I was going to talk about wine. So this is great. Maybe we could do a little duo.
Go on.
Well, I don't know that much about wine, but what do you prefer? Are you red, white, rosé? What do we like?
I'm a sweet drinker, so usually white is sweeter. I do like a rosé. I like a sparkling wine, like a bubbly.
Yeah.
But there is one red wine that I love, and I do not know what it's called.
Okay.
But I get it at Trader Joe's.
Do you like sangria?
I'm okay with sangria.
Okay. Do you like orange wine? I love orange wine.
I don't know that I've had any orange wine, but there's a great song by Jasmine Savoy Brown called Orange Wine.
It is good. I love orange wine. I agree with you. I'm like not picky about most of my alcohol, so it kind of just depends on the mood. But I do like a deep like red wine as well. But I like a good, white wine too. There's this place in Indiana, if you're looking for Rex, I think it's called Cooper's Hawk. My sister will take me there, and they have a bunch of different kinds of wines. Like they have a blueberry wine that's really good. They have this like white, it's called I forget what it's called. There's like a Christmassy wine, and you can like heat it up, and it's really good hot, weirdly.
Like a mulled wine?
It's like a white wine. I forget what it's called. I will try and look it up for next week, or just right here when we're talking about Broadway shows. But it's like one of the best wines I've ever had. Hold on, I'm literally gonna look it up right now because it will drive me crazy.
Well, when I was in England the last few times, was closer to the holidays, and my travel buddy in England likes to force Christmas on me, and so she makes me drink mulled wine.
I love it. I mean, listen, say what you want about Christmas. The drinks pop off, okay? Like, even if you're not a Christmas person, the drinks do pop off. Okay. It's literally called Winter White, and the flavors in it are, I want to get this right, baked pear, yellow apple, clove, nutmeg, and orange peel with spices like cinnamon, nutmeg, and clove. and orange peel. It's so good. That's like one of my favorite things. My grandma and I went ham on it at Christmas. Loved it. We drink it cold though, and it's also good cold. But that's like, I love that winter white wine. Everybody from Cooper's Hawk, if you're ever in Indiana, definitely check it out. Yeah,
we are not sponsored by them.
We're not at all. It would be great, but we definitely are not. Anyway, you want to talk about Broadway shows though?
I wanted you because I know how much you love Broadway shows.
I do. I saw a couple of them when I was there in December. I went with my sister and her boyfriend, and he loves Back to the Future. So we saw the Back to the Future one, and that one was good. That's a very like classic movie to musical adaptation, but the set was really, really cool. They had like the car on the stage, like flying through the air, which was crazy. I saw an off-Broadway musical called The Big Gay Jamboree, which was incredible and just what it sounds like. And then I saw a play called The Roommate with Patti LuPone and Mia Farrow, which was really, really good too. But I love the musical. I mean, the fact that Wicked is like such a phenomenon and we're getting another part, like that's my dream, because that was like my gateway musical when I was like in junior high. So
that's cute.
I could talk about musicals all day. I love them.
Well, those have been our shower thoughts.
Yes, indeed.
I knew those would be good topics. It's time for What Did We Learn? So there was a quote that was not brought up, but I saved it for this, which is about displacement. So displacement is when you put emotional energy into a problem that you can do something about instead of the one you can't. Benson talks about how she can understand that more than anyone because her father was a rapist and therefore she became an SVU detective. I felt like it kind of not diminished, but the way that Megan was like, that you think it's about my MS. I think it's about your rape. Like either one, you are going through a lot right now.
I agree with you. That's also what I learned. I have to say, I started that word. So I'm like, I think I've heard it before, but it was like nice to get a real definition. But I agree. I thought it was kind of weird that they thought it was like, well, you're trying to solve your rape because you have MS. It's like, well, I think that she is actually just like leaning into rage because she can't control either one of them, unfortunately.
Yeah.
In isolation, you know?
Totally. And honestly, I feel like the MS diagnosis was like just thrown around.
It was very weird. It was very weird how they handled it. I think it was like interesting in theory, but I don't think it was like handled or woven in that well.
No, it was like you were diagnosed with MS. That is fact.
Yeah.
Moving on. Also, this other stuff.
Yeah.
But everything else, we're going to be like, remember that fact? We're just going to keep reminding you of that fact.
Yeah. I thought it was weird too.
But I did appreciate, because when Benson first started talking, when she was like, my father raped my mother, I went, the fuck does this have to? Oh, I see how we got here.
I still didn't like it. Sorry. I think that she didn't need to use a personal example. And if she did, she could have used a different one.
I mean, I think I agree with you. I think that I understood why she did. I think it made sense and I think it worked. But also, like, I think that she could have done without. It could have been done without.
Well, I think that the more relevant comparison would be I was also sexually assaulted and I threw myself into work after. Like that feels like a more one-to-one thing. You know what I mean? It just felt like an example that was like not completely relevant. Like the idea was the same, but there were examples that were a lot more close to what she was doing. So I thought that was kind of a weird choice to do that one.
So Alexa in the chat points out that there can be psychiatric symptoms to MS. So what I also think was very much missing from this episode is, what is MS?
Yeah.
So first of all, MS is 2 letters that represent words. And those words, I feel like were never said.
I don't think they were either.
So MS is multiple sclerosis. It is a chronic autoimmune disease that affects the central nervous system, the brain, and the spinal cord. It is, I'm pulling up info for us, everybody. A disease that causes breakdown in the protective covering of nerves. Multiple sclerosis can cause numbness, weakness, trouble walking, visions, and other symptoms. It is in MS, the immune system attacks the protective sheath that covers nerve fibers. This interruption interrupts communication between the brain and the rest of the body. Eventually, the disease can cause permanent damage to nerve fibers. So, like, none of that was ever said or explained.
Yeah, it's strange.
And because it does affect the brain in any way, that may have been, as Alexis pointing out in the chat, connecting us to like this idea that she's on this bucket list trip or whatever, or that it was consensual, but like it never went there.
Yeah, they should have tied that more firmly.
So I almost put what did I learn was MS stuff, and then I realized that we didn't. We didn't learn.
Yeah, we didn't learn that.
It felt odd to. This is going to sound really, really insensitive, but it felt odd to not just give her like a cancer, right?
Yeah, I kind of agree with that because it was like, well, like, I don't know, when you write, there's intentional choices. So it's like, it didn't feel like a very intentional diagnosis almost. It just felt a little confusing because I didn't explore it much.
Yeah.
I agree with you. Like, as you know, as whatever as that sounds, like when you're in a writer's room, you make choices to serve the story, and it didn't really serve the story.
Yes. Like, why MS specifically?
Yeah.
And how does that affect her?
Yeah. Agreed.
Anyway, any other thoughts on this episode?
I don't think so.
I will say also her writing in her planner, writing down the like facts, reminds me of an episode from like, I want to say season 2, a very, very old episode where like there's a party and there's a rape and some girl witnesses it and she scribbles down everything she saw as a witness and tells the cops, and they're like, why? And she's like, I'm studying criminology and like we just went over witness statements or something like that. So the fact that that came back up, I was like, yes, I love that she like immediately got it out because she wanted to like, I want to make sure I remember it and also not have to think about it.
I would do that too, probably. I really do feel like you're related to Megan a lot because that's enough, but it's also another way of control because if you write it down, it's like, well, I'm in charge of like knowing that stuff and I can remember that stuff. I'm not going to let it slip. So I think that it was smart, but it was also another control mechanism because she has so little. So I liked that. And I feel like I would, I can't say what I would do in that situation, obviously, because it's awful and unthinkable, but I could see myself doing a similar thing because of who I am and me not liking the unknown and uncontrolled and stuff.
I agree wholeheartedly. And again, like this displacement, this fact that she's like trying to grab onto control anywhere. That is an interesting, like, why wasn't the episode more about that?
Yeah, agreed.
Look, there are lots of great things in this episode. There were lots of things that could be improved upon. And I wonder where we'll go from here. That said, there is no new episode this week.
Oh.
But also, I know we're missing one episode this season. We will not be doing it this week because we will be out of town.
Yes.
Also, next Sunday is my birthday. So put that out there.
Yeah.
So we will not be doing an episode next week. We will be back the week after because there's a new episode on the 13th. So we'll be back on that Sunday, correct?
I think so, yeah.
If not, make sure you've subscribed here so that you can see when the next episode we're going to do is, or you've subscribed wherever you're listening so you don't miss new episodes. But until we return with new episodes, and I promise we'll do the one we missed when we have a chance. I'm sorry. Taylor, where are you on the internet and what are you up to these days?
I am on Twitter at alphaba_Ann. I'm also on Instagram at Taylor_Gates_. I've been doing a lot of interviews lately. One of them with SVU's Velasco, Octavio Pisano, so you can read that. That's gotten so many views, so thank you all for reading if you have. People, SVU fandom is crazy, and I love it. But yeah, I've also done some with a movie called Last Breath with Woody Harrelson. That just came out, and who else? Running Point. If anyone watched that on Netflix, I just did with the creators. So I've been doing a lot of interviews lately. If you are watching things other than SVU, I don't know why anyone would, but if you happen to, I might have done an interview on it. So check me out. You can just search my name in Collider, and it's all right there.
Amazing. I am Yael Tygiel. I am on Instagram at Yael Tygiel. That's YAELTYGIEL. And if you like spicy romance books, specifically ones that take SVU and go, but what if this is okay? Check out my Insta. It's called The Good Little Library Mouse. Also, I'm aware that it's not okay. That's important. All right.
It's fantasy.
It is, yes. Yeah. We aren't judging thoughts.
No.
Okay. Until 2 weeks from now, we'll be back. Thank you to everybody who is live with us. We love you. Mwah. Bye.